The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. The X-Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and iHeartRadio. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And to find about the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. My guest this hour is Dave Outlandish, and Dave was born in southern Alabama and lived there between there and Oregon as a child. He was introduced to ceremonial magic by his father, who were raised Mormon for the structure. He learned occultism and demonology as a teenager, making his pocket money reading cards and selling charms. He joined the Army and went to Iraq, and after coming back went to school for a while before deciding to work full-time in his chosen field of occultism and demonology. First of all, Dave, I want to thank you very much for your service.
Hey, well, thank you so much.
And welcome to the X-Zone.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, too.
All right, Dave, what was it that kind of brought you to the point in your life where you said to yourself, you know what, I want to get into demonology and occultism full-time. This is where I've decided to focus myself.
Well, so like I said, when I was a child, the keys of Enoch were in the house. My father was into this ceremonial magic stuff, and it was just kind of a commonality in my life. Mm-hmm. And during my studies in the Mormon church, we studied to be missionaries. They all go on a mission when they turn 18. So during the course of my studies, I came across sections of the Bible that specifically talk about demons, specifically the instance where Jesus casts the demons into the pigs, Legion, right?
Right.
And so curious about how, as a Mormon kid, I was expected to deal with demons. I asked church officials, and I wasn't given an answer at all. And so, that brought me to go get the Legemeton, the Lesser Keys of Solomon, the Goetia. And, figuring, being an aspiring priest as that I was, I figured that I could, conjure one of these demons up and force it to tell me what was going on. My experience was absolutely nothing like I expected. But the resulting experience and the experiences after that led me to believe that even if we have no idea what these things really are, they are something.
Could you share that experience with us?
Well, experiences with demons, they vary across the board between, events that people will, like for me personally.
Yes.
Experience that I occurred when I was a teenager. It was intense. A lot of it may or may not have been hallucinatory, right? Mm-hmm. There were things floating around. There were things moving around the room. I was hearing voices. I was experiencing things that didn't seem possible, right? And knowing that what it would take for an invisible entity to physically lift an object in a room I can't say for a fact that that actually occurred. What I can say for a fact is that I, with my senses intact, felt as if it did.
Wow, that is one heck of an experience. Let me ask you this then. A lot of people talk about, when they go on to ghost investigations, that they come across demonic entities. And do ghosts and demons live in a sort of mutual relationship on the other side?
Well, like I said, no one really knows exactly, right? What we have is eyewitness accounts as evidence.
Right.
And that's pretty much all we have. We don't have a shred of something tangible that we can touch and look to and say, well, here's, what we do have is a lot of eyewitness accounts. And a lot of eyewitness accounts place demons and ghosts in a similar arrangement in the afterlife or the other side or the spirit world. Because a lot of people who go into haunted areas will encounter both ghostly entities, and they will encounter things that they typically will describe as demonic. Whether or not these entities are actually demons or if they're simply violent, sort of malignant entities or not,
Right.
I mean, that's debatable, but seems to be that ghosts and demons inhabit a similar type of area.
So how does something become a demonic entity and other things just become ghosts?
That's a good question, and I do have a theory about that, and I think it's similar to the way that a person becomes a Satanist versus just a regular person.
Oh.
It's a matter of choice, right? If a demon or a spiritual entity, for instance, decides, hey, I'm going to worship the devil, and I'm going to go around to these sorcerers' places, and I'm going to chill out with them when they start doing their satanic rituals, then I'm pretty sure that makes it a demon. And it's the same thing. If a person decides that they want to take on a satanic philosophy and go hang around people when they're doing satanic rituals, that pretty much makes them a Satan.
Why would somebody want to hang around a place where they're doing satanic rituals or become a satanic ritual invoker themselves?
That's another good question. And there are a lot of reasons why people would. I mean, Satanism is a pretty broad religion. We have the Church of Satan, for instance. They're atheists. Their rituals are psychodramas designed to help people get over traumas in their lives. But they don't believe in magic. They don't believe the devil's a real entity. And then we have the Temple of Satan, for instance. They're mostly political entities. They leverage the power of the satanic symbol to cause change in government policies. Then we have kind of in the middle, theistic Satanists, or the group that I fall into. And we essentially reject the notion that the devil is some kind of man-devouring monster that seeks to destroy the earth. We see the devil more as a figure of rebellion against the status quo. We see the devil as a figure of self-empowerment and self-betterment. So really it's a matter of perspective.
Let me ask you this then, Dave. Based on your experience and based on your beliefs, who or what is Satan?
And that's a really tricky question too, because again, I don't know.
Okay.
No one really does know, and that's kind of the nature of the occult, right?
Well,
I mean, if we knew what it was, wouldn't be the occult.
Is the Satan that you believe to be out there, is that the Satan that is depicted in such a negative way in the Bible?
Well, actually, probably is, but
Dave, are you there? We kind of lost you.
yeah, I'm here. You hear me now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm pretty sure that the Satan that we believe in is a similar entity to the one that's described in the Bible. I mean, the Bible is a book that's got an agenda. The Bible is a book that it's got a point that it's trying to make. So I take any kind of mention of the enemies of God with a grain of salt in a book that was written by God.
Point well taken. Point well taken. What kind of evidence do you see in today's world that Satan is busy at work?
Personally, I see there's a great uptick in the amount of not just satanic symbolism and literature that we're seeing arise in popular culture, right? But we're also seeing Satan taken as a symbol, not a supernatural entity, right? Specifically with the Church of Satan and the Temple of Satan.
Right.
We see a lot of people who are rallying behind the banner of Satan as an opposition to what they feel is a repressive kind of moral majority that Christianity has had over the world for the past, however long you want to consider it. So
go on.
I think that when we look at the uptick in this kind of rebellious attitude against the status quo, we see, if you believed Satan was a real entity, I'd say that you could see the evidence of his activity there.
So it's all a matter of perception and belief.
Really, I think everything is.
Yeah. All right, Dave, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our first break. In X Zone Nation, our guest of this hour is Dave Outlandish. And if you'd like to find out more about Dave, visit him on Instagram at Dave Outlandish. That's Dave Outlandish, and he's on Instagram. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and iHeartRadio. Listen, coming soon on Simul TV, the X Zone TV channel will be 24/7, 365. And if you have any favorite shows, or if you have any favorite subjects that you would like us to include in the X Zone TV channel programming, send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and I'll get back to you, and I'll certainly share your information with our good friends in the TV section of our programming department. Dave Outlandish and I return talking more about the occult and demonology here in the X Zone. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Dave Outlandish is our special guest Exonation on Instagram. He is Dave Outlandish, and that is all one word. We're talking about occultism and demonology this hour. And do you have to believe in the devil if you want to make a curse?
No, I don't think you have to believe in anything at all, really. Now, as far as curses go,
yeah,
that's an interesting subject. And really,
Dave, we lost you again, Dave. Where did you go?
Oh, you got me back now?
Yeah, I got you back now. Excellent.
Okay. So a curse is an interesting thing in that they're supposed to do something that's very visible, right? Mm-hmm. When you do a curse and you do it on someone, you know if it works or not, right? Because if their life takes a turn for the worse, you know the curse worked, right? So, but the thing about curses is that you don't even have to do magic at all to have the effects of a curse take place. All you really have to do is convince somebody that they have been cursed. And once they're convinced through culturally appropriate means that they have been cursed, then they begin to display the nocebo effects associated with that particular curse. This is all based on real specific cultural triggers, right? So I would say you don't even have to believe in magic to successfully curse someone.
So you mean like a voodoo doll or some other sort of representation that would lead somebody to believe that there is a curse upon them?
Exactly. Now, do I believe in mind bullets, for instance? Maybe. I haven't seen anything that really suggests they don't exist. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing this work for a while, and I've seen some weird stuff. But the point is, they don't have to exist for my work to be applicable, right? Like, you can use a sigil to make someone feel like they have more confidence, feel like they are stronger and more prepared for the day. That placebo effect, even if they know it's a placebo effect, mm-hmm. if they have the right cultural triggers, then it'll still happen, and they'll get the positive effects from it. So really, yeah. So it doesn't matter if they believe it or not.
So it's like if you confess it, you will possess it.
Yeah, pretty much. In the sense that our minds are able to do some pretty miraculous things on their own without the need for mind bullets.
Right. Okay. Let me just ask you this. How do you conduct paranormal investigations, Dave?
Well, so I'm not necessarily a paranormal investigator. Oh, okay. My LinkedIn says paranormal instigator, right?
Oh, now, instigator. I see.
There's a subtle difference in that so a paranormal investigation team, they go into a house, they do their investigation, and they come out of that investigation reasonably certain mm-hmm. that there is an entity in the house, right?
Right.
So what I do is based on my knowledge of what can trigger nocebo effects in human beings, I go into the house and I produce a ritual intended to agitate the spiritual entities in the house, right? So if they're people and if they were Christian before they died, then a very elaborate, blatantly satanic ritual should make them panic at least, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if they were superstitious before they died. So the idea is that with paranormal instigation, we are going to elaborate lengths to try to instigate behavior from these spirits by way of using elaborate, blatantly satanic imagery.
So what kind of actions or what kind of words or what kind of chants would you use?
Well, I have a lot of it really depends mm-hmm. because what we're trying to do, we're not necessarily really trying to do magic, quote unquote, right?
Right.
We're trying to create triggers that these ghosts, if they exist and if they were people, will find it difficult to ignore. So what we want to do is figure out what language they spoke, right? We want to figure out what kind of culture they were in. And then we want to tailor our rituals specifically so that they will feel a connection to them.
Okay, so how do you figure out all of this pre-needed information before you commit the ritual? Like
now, again, that takes some work. Sometimes if an area has a good history to it, there'll be recordings of who these entities may or may not be, right?
Right.
If we know who died in the house and we know who we are trying to agitate, then there should be information on them. If not, but we are reasonably certain that there is an entity in the house, I mean, as certain as we can be about that, then we'll look for mediums, or we'll look for Ouija boards, or we'll look for things like that and try to engage the entity beforehand. This is another way to test if the entity is going to be receptive to what we're doing.
But what happens if the entity is there but is not receptive to your methods of operation?
I mean, and sometimes this happens. And in fact, we would have no way of knowing. If we went into a house and there was a ghost there and he was just standing there looking at us and we were doing all these scary boo-ha-ha dances and he just kind of, what the heck are these guys doing? We would have no idea unless he decided to manifest himself in some way, right? So, I mean, sometimes it happens that we go into a house, that we put on a big show and nothing occurs.
What do the people who own the house think when they see you guys going through your anti-demonic rituals?
I notify them. They're notified well in advance about what we intend on doing. We're not.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going into people's houses and setting up covert satanic shrines, and then they come back later like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
I mean, I explain in detail specifically what I'm trying to do, specifically what I'm going to set up, what type of cultural triggers I'm going to be using, just to make sure that they personally aren't going to feel super uncomfortable being in the house afterwards.
All right. Tell us about your greatest accomplishment.
Yeah. Oh man. See, so a lot of the work that I do that has really impressed me has been for clients. And I have a pretty strict confidentiality clause with my clients, in that if they come to me and they say, "Hey, I want this spell," and then I do a spell for them and then it works for whatever reason. A lot of the times if they come to me, they're pretty desperate, right? Like, people don't go to demonologists to conjure demons, to make their headaches feel better, right?
Yeah.
People come to me with stuff that's pretty serious, and a lot of the times they don't even want to talk about it with other people. They don't want to let their families know that they're involved in this kind of thing. So unfortunately, most of the most impressive things I feel I've done are veiled behind other people's privacy.
So you are basically a fixer for demons.
Basically, I kind of a demon broker.
Yeah.
I mean, demons and spirits, from my experience, they have some commonalities, one of which is pacts. Demons and spirits seem to want to make deals with people. I think that's because it sets a value, right? We don't really have a common language. They don't talk with mouths. They don't have brains in bodies, you know? So we have to find somewhere that we can stand on a level where we know this means this, right? And a pact establishes a collective value. So once we've established a pact with a demon, they know what we consider valuable and we know what they consider valuable. And now we can cooperate.
How often have you gone into locations, Dave, where people believe there is a demon or that an occult occurrence has occurred, and what you find out is that it's mostly in the mind of the person, that there is nothing there?
I would say that you could argue that 100% of the time that's the case.
Really?
You could. I mean, since there's no tangible evidence, I can't pick up ghost droppings off the floor and say, "Oh, look, fresh ghost poop. Here was a ghost," right? So you could really argue that 100% of this is in the mind, but at the same time, 100% of your experience of the world is also in your mind. Yeah. So just because someone comes to me and says, "I have a demon," I don't find any evidence of it, but they are convinced. If they're convinced, then it's real to them, and I need to take it seriously.
So once again, the placebo effect plays a big part in what you're doing.
I mean, I think it plays a big part in what every magician does, whether they want to admit it or not.
So do you consider yourself a magician or a demonologist?
I would consider myself, if I had a demonologist as a field of study, if I would consider myself like what type of spell caster am I?
Right.
I would call myself a sorcerer because it's more accurate.
Right.
I deal with disembodied spirits. I make charms, mojo, hoodoo, things like that.
Yeah.
Typically what a sorcerer would get into.
Okay. What is the difference between a sorcerer and a wizard? Well,
wizard is a more colloquial term, which is kind of a catch-all, right? So an alchemist may be considered a wizard, or a magician may be considered a wizard, but I don't think there's a real specific pinpoint for what a wizard is. It's kind of a more general term. So I guess I could call myself a wizard. I like the term wizard. It's a fun word,
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mean anything.
So, Dave, during the work that you do, have you noticed any sociological ties between certain ages or certain groups of people or certain sexes? Or does it go right across the spectrum?
Well, I've noticed that as far as what people request of me, men typically want to know if they can do what I do, right? So they want information or they want training. Women typically will want me to do things for them because they're not sure if they can do it right or not, right? And the irony of that is that women are probably more adept at doing this than guys are, but they're the ones that are more inclined to pay me to do it for them.
Interesting topic. Interesting, gentlemen. Dave Outlandish is our guest, X-Zone Nation, and Dave and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And if you would like to find out more about Dave, check him out on Instagram just by typing in Dave Outlandish, and that's all one word. Dave Outlandish and I return on the other side of this break talking more about the occult, demonology, and much more as the X-Zone continues after this news break.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Den.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God,
It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Explanation. Dave Outlandish is our special guest this hour. You can find out about Dave on Instagram using Dave Outlandish, all small characters and all together. Dave, has there been more demonic activity or Satanistic activity since the advent of the internet?
And that's a good question, too. I'm not sure if we could really tell. I mean, thanks to the advent of the internet, we're all hyper-connected now, so it may seem like there has been more because now you can go onto a forum, and every single forum you go onto, somebody's talking about having a demonic experience. But that may or may not actually mean there's more. It is maybe an indication of our hyperconnectivity.
Gotcha. What are some of the signs that parents can pick up on if they believe that one of their kids is into the occult or demonology?
Well, I think the first thing that people need to realize is that negative symptoms aren't necessarily something you're always going to get, right? It's not bad for people to entities necessarily, right? So if your kid is having negative symptoms of something, then you should look into it. If they're not having any negative symptoms, if they're doing well in school, if they've got friends, if they're confident, if they have a hobby that they like, then it shouldn't matter if it's demonology or occultism.
Dave, we're having a bit of a problem hearing you again, buddy.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
I guess my point is that if their kids are happy and healthy and doing things that they like, then it shouldn't matter if it's occultism or demonology. But if their kids are having problems and if they're having negative effects, then no matter what they're doing, the parents should probably pay attention to that.
If the kids are doing fine and everything seems to be working, why would they want to get into the occult then? What is the attraction to the occult?
Oh, I mean, I think it's fascinating personally. The way that, the occult is essentially the study of symbols and how these symbols evoke meaning and experience in people, right? I mean, with art, you're painting a picture and that picture evokes an emotion. With occultism, you're drawing a symbol, you're drawing several symbols, you're doing a ritual, you're lighting incense. They evoke similar types of experiences.
Okay.
And so getting into the occult, an interest in the occult could be compared to an interest into art, creating something that can evoke an emotion or a reaction in someone else.
Then why does the occult have such a negative connotation in society?
Well, I feel like there are a couple of reasons for that. One, I think that, anyone who seems to have powers that can't be explained makes people nervous, understandably so. And that's kind of on purpose, right? If you get into a cult, you kind of want to be a little bit scary. Being able to induce a fear effect in someone without actually threatening them or being violent. I mean, it's a pretty powerful, ability to have. So the occultism is scary in the sense that people who are threatened do tend to use it to scare people, right? But another thing is that we live in a majority Christian society. So magic in and of itself is condemned in the Bible. And so it would be condemned by the society as a whole.
What can one expect when interacting with demons or the devil?
I guess it really, really varies on the individual. But I'd say that the commonalities here are that keep in mind that demons are invisible. You're not going to see them. They're not going to manifest in front of you in a big puff of smoke, right? What demons have been described as is thoughts, right? So if you interact with demons, you're not going to see a big scaly monster come out of your closet and hand you a crumpled old book. What you might get are a series of thoughts that you may not have had without this interaction. What you might get is inspiration from somewhere that you had no frame of reference for. And then with that new experience, with that new frame of reference, now you can make choices in your life that you were unable to make before.
Dave, what is your take on the Ouija board?
I think the Ouija board is a very powerful tool. I mean, it was the talking board before they, manufactured it as a toy, and it still works exactly the same.
So why, once again, the negative connotation about Ouija boards? Why
are
they frowned upon?
So you get people who are very impressionable, right? These people have these real active, powerful imaginations. Some people believe that has a stronger tie to the spirit world. I don't know if that's true or not, but what we do get is people get on Ouija boards and they have these real vivid imaginations. And they have the experience that they expect to have from the Ouija board. And the Ouija board itself markets itself as a spooky game. So you get kids, young people with very active imagination. Now, whether they are psychic or not, whether they are engaging with entities or not, is debatable. But the point is they're very impressionable. They've got a strong imagination, and the game markets itself as being scary.
So in your opinion, Dave, what is the most negative thing that a person can actually do while participating in the occult?
I think the most negative thing that a person can do is to be narrow-minded and dogmatic. I think the most negative thing a person can do in experiencing the occult is to assume that they are correct in whatever they're assuming, right? Because at that point, if you start assuming that you're right and that no one else is, then you've got no room for course correction if it's actually all in your head. Right? So you have to keep in mind when you're working with the occult that it is all in your head and it's all in everyone else's head. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt.
So it's basically the power of perception.
I mean, essentially, but the limits of that are debatable, right? Like, is it just placebo, or is placebo what we are observing as an effect from invisible forces?
If somebody wants to participate in the occult, what kind of tools should they use, or if they want to reach out to demons?
Well, reaching out to demons is super easy. All you have to do to reach out to demons is turn the lights off in your room because it's spooky to you. Demons don't care about light. Light a candle because it's spooky to you. Demons don't care about candles. And call for one. If you know their name, great. If you know a little bit about them, even better. It doesn't matter if you don't, though, because you'll experience them whether or not you know anything about them or not. Now, again, whether or not that experience is something that compels you to believe that they exist, that your mileage may vary on that.
What do you think about all the movies and TV shows that are out there today with that, that touch demonology and the occult and basically what they make the occult out to be?
Well, I like it personally. I like those movies. I feel that what we have here with occultism is similar to some of the effects that we see with doctors, right? Doctors wear a white lab coat. They give you a pill. You think that pill is medicine because it comes from a doctor.
Right.
You take the pill, you get a placebo. So from an occultist, you need some kind of pre-existing expectation of what they're going to do, right? And the way the media portrays occultism and demonology is that we're powerful and scary. And and I like that. And what it does is give us authority. So when we give someone a charm, they're not looking at us and deciding whether or not it's going to work based on me. They're looking at me and all the media representations of my job before they decide if it's going to work or not.
So what's it like to be a demonologist?
I love it. It's super rewarding to me. I get all sorts of weird dreams, and I get all sorts of weird people asking me for really weird stuff.
So it sounds
Never a dull moment.
Sounds like you're a guy who enjoys the weird stuff in life.
I don't make a lot of money. I don't, but I love it. It's my passion.
I've got a friend in Montreal who says you're here for a good time, not for a long time.
That's the truth right there.
The work that you do, have you ever felt that you yourself are in any sort of danger?
The most danger that I felt that I was in from spirits, I mean, I imagine, and I have felt real, genuine, life-threatening terror, but I wasn't in a situation where I was actually in real, genuine, life-threatening terror. So I imagine that at some point, some of these entities have the capacity to make us experience things that we have really no right to experience, right? So, like, even if I might not have been in danger, a lot of people who experience demons really do experience a profound sense of terror. I'm not sure if that's intentional on the demon's part, or if it's simply our mind kind of comprehending another entity and kind of freaking out about it because we can't see it, you know?
When it comes to the battle between good and evil, heaven and hell, God and Satan, who's more powerful?
You know, according to God, he is. But, you know, the guy that talks the most shit before the fight, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not talking to God right now. He refuses to take my calls.
True.
I'm talking to you.
Well, I don't know, man. Really, if you asked me who was more powerful, I don't have an opinion on that. If you ask me who I support the most, I'm definitely on the side of hell.
All right, young man, stand by. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. And Exonation, my guest this hour is Dave Outlandish. Interesting topic, interesting young man. We're talking about the occult and demonology this hour here in the X Zone. And if you'd like to find out more about Dave, on Instagram, it's Dave Outlandish. All one word. The X Zone, a place where people dare to believe, dare to be heard Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and iHeartRadio. And don't forget, 724 365 on Simul TV.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howell expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multifamily dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
Dave Outlandish is my guest this hour, Exonation. On Instagram, Dave Outlandish. Dave, what would happen if you were born, let's say, in the state of Virginia, and, you weren't introduced by your dad to ceremonial magic, and the Mormon church or structure had nothing to do with the way you were raised? Do you think you'd be a demonologist and occultist?
I can't really say, but I'm pretty sure that in a parallel universe, a me like that exists. And I hope he's cooler than I am. Or maybe he's not as cool as I am.
Hey, listen, pal, you can't improve on perfection, okay? So stop trying.
That's true.
Are there many ladies who are demonologists? Or is this kind of a guy's profession?
To be honest with you, it's really a matter of labels. So most women who I engage with in this profession don't call themselves occultists. They call themselves witches. Right. And so I would say that the amount of witches versus the amount of occultists or wizards or whatever, there are definitely more witches than there are wizards and occultists.
Yeah,
Go on. If you're talking about people who specifically identify as occultists, that's more or less a male-dominated identity. But people who do magic, across the board, I would say it's more heavily populated with women.
When you go out to do, would we call it an exorcism when you go out to get rid of a demon?
Well, I don't do exorcisms. I don't get rid of demons.
What do you do? I thought you did all these neat dances and trances and chants to kind of get rid of them.
Oh, no. Oh. So with ghosts, we're trying to make them angry so they show up better. Right? We're not trying to get the ghosts to leave. We're trying to get the ghosts mad.
Why?
So they'll start throwing stuff. Well, because, say a paranormal investigator goes in.
Yeah.
They determine that the place is haunted, but they want some better footage or they want more data. So what we do is see if we can get more stuff to happen. And then the paranormal investigators go in afterwards and they see if more or less activity occurs.
But if the ghost is the remains of a human, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that kind of being disrespectful to the dead?
Well, I mean, I feel like the dead deserve as much respect as the living, and scaring people is something that we as humans kind of have taken to be an advanced art form, right? And I don't feel that I'm at a place scaring dead people any more than people are at a place scaring living people.
Okay, I'm trying to follow the logic on that one. You kind of lost me. Explain it to me.
Dead people I think they deserve as much respect as living people do. And it's not wrong to scare living people, right? If we set up something that's spooky and people walk past it and like, oh gosh, that's scary. People search that out. People love horror movies. People love to be scared in general. So it's not inhumane to scare a person if we're not hurting them, if we don't cause them any actual harm. I don't feel like it would be inhumane to scare a ghost. We're not causing them any actual harm. We don't even know if they exist or not. So I would say that not doing what I do simply on the possibility that it would be disrespectful to a potential dead person, it kind of, there's a lot of potential for cool experiences that would be wasted.
How successful are you?
It depends on how you measure success.
Well,
really.
I mean, you go into these places, you want to instigate the paranormal activity into happening.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how successful are you to actually get the paranormal activity to increase?
I would say about a 7 or 8, but I'm very conservative in what I consider success. If I go into an area and afterwards the paranormal investigation group is like, oh, wow, we got all this new stuff. And then we look it over, and really a lot of it could be explained by them being creeped out, right? Then it may seem to them like it was a success. But to me, I didn't really piss off any ghosts. I just scared cameramen, you know?
Okay, so what is the ultimate goal then of a paranormal investigation team? Is it more shock and awe? Is it for entertainment purposes? What's their reason if they want to get all the sensationalistic alleged paranormal activity?
I mean, that really depends on the team itself. You know, some people want to go in there, and I mean, a lot of people who are involved in paranormal investigation, they are either looking for proof or they're looking for a good time for themselves because they already believe it, right? And so by the time we're doing stuff to a location,
we lost you again.
Oh, my bad. So
bad demonologist. We lost you again. Dave, I can't hear you, buddy.
Can't hear me at all now?
Now I can, yeah.
Okay.
You got to pull You got to pull that string in the tin can just a little bit tighter.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, I'm not in my place right now. I'm on Wi-Fi, but yeah. So a lot of the times when these paranormal investigation groups come in, they know what they want out of it, and I'm not into faking stuff. I'm not gonna throw rocks from off screen. You know, I'm not gonna move chairs when the camera's out of the room. I'm not in it just for the sensationalism, but I mean, I do like the pageantry. I do like putting on the show for the investigators, for the ghosts. But, I mean, ultimately, I'm doing it because I want to see if it works.
So would you consider yourself an entertainer?
I think I would consider myself an entertainer and an artist, definitely. Because I don't really, I mean, I very rarely make impacts on people's lives other than for entertainment purposes or for artistic purposes, right?
So how do you make a living at this?
Oh, I mean, I don't make a lot of money doing this. Like I said, I was in the military and I got blown up a bunch in Iraq. So, you know,
I'm sorry to hear that, buddy.
I don't need to make a living. Well, I mean, I don't need to make a living out of it.
Right.
I can make enough money to support myself doing it.
Okay. Tell me about your youth and how the magic and your father and the Mormon church played within your life.
So I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Mormon church.
Very.
They have a lot of occultist like, you know, content. Their temples are very much set up with occult sentiment in mind. The way their priesthood is structured is very similar to these occult orders, and that's because the founder, Joseph Smith, was influenced by these occult orders during the time of the foundation of the church. And so being in that environment as a child, the idea that we could do a ceremony and contact the spirits of the dead was something that I had taken for granted as something to be true from a young age.
Well, couldn't you say that about any religion? For example, that Christians pray to their departed ones. They have ceremonies when it comes to baptismal, marriage, burial rites. And in fact, the Anglican Church used to have in its prayer book the rites of exorcism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, most occultists and most Satanists that I know were raised Christian.
So what do you think the biggest conversion point between Christianity and occultism is?
For me, it's simply the rejection of God's authority. Like, I mean, even if I believe he existed, which I'm not sure I do or not, but if I did, I wouldn't believe he had the authority to tell me to do anything. I wouldn't believe he had the authority to tell me not to do magic. Right? Why would he? It's kind of something that people assume based on the Bible and based on the teachings of Christianity, but most occultists that I know, the conversion point is simply the rejection of the authority of God.
Do you believe that one of the main reasons or many reasons why people are walking away from the established religious philosophies is that they have not kept up with the times and people are searching and looking for a place where they belong when it comes to some sort of religious order or organization?
Well, I think that the success of a lot of these religious institutions relies on the isolationism of their communities. And with the advent of the internet and our hyperconnectivity as a culture,
Right.
you rarely get the kind of isolation that's needed for this kind of dogmatic, thought shaping of the youth. So what we have now is an entire generation, or 2 generations at this point, of young people who it was simply impossible to isolate. And the lack of isolation leads them to questioning the authenticity of the scriptures. They're subjected to propaganda efforts from all sides on the internet.
Sure.
So I think it's a mixture of these religions not keeping with the times, but also the hyperconnectivity we have as a culture now makes it really, really, really difficult to isolate people like they used to be able to.
Dave, I've got about a minute left before you and I have to say so long.
Sure.
How do people know when they're looking for a demonologist for one reason or another, who is credible and who is not?
Well, I would say that the way to know a credible demonologist versus a non-credible one is if what they do for you works. And that's really the only way to know, is if what they do for you works or not.
Dave, I'm sorry, quickly.
Yeah, just don't pay a lot of money for it. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Dave, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Do me a favor, come back and visit us again.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, Dave. Dave Outlandish has been my guest this hour, Exonation, and to find out more about Dave and the work that he does, just go on Instagram, Dave Outlandish, all one word, and I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as the X-Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell. www.xzbn.net is our network, and to find out all about the X-Zone Radio Show, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And last but not least, to find out how you can get your read your online edition of the X-Zone Chronicles, www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com, or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.